Alex Mason never thought her ordinary life would change so drastically that night. She saw the falling star crash into the forest behind her cabin. The light was blinding, and the impact shook the ground beneath her feet as she ran toward the smoking crater in the woods. Alex was a former military medic living a quiet life away from civilization, but her training kicked in as she approached the wreckage. Inside the broken metal shell lay a creature unlike anything Alex had ever seen. Tall, slender, with iridescent blue skin and large almond eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. The alien was clearly injured, purple fluid seeping from a wound on her side. Without hesitation, Alex carried the wounded alien back to her cabin, laying her gently on the bed. The creature wore ornate garments with symbols Alex could not comprehend but understood represented importance or rank. For 3 days, Alex tended to the alien woman, cleaning her wounds and offering water. The alien drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes speaking in a melodic language Alex could not understand. On the 4th day, the alien finally woke fully alert, her eyes fixing on Alex with intense curiosity. The alien touched her own healed wound, then placed her 6-fingered hand on Alex's forehead. A strange tingling sensation spread through Alex's mind, and suddenly she could understand the alien. "My name is Lyra. I am royalty among my people." The alien communicated directly into Alex's thoughts. "You have saved me, human, and for that I am grateful." Alex learned that Lyra was indeed a princess fleeing from political enemies who had sabotaged her ship. The Azurian Empire, as Lyra called her civilization, was vast, spanning multiple star systems. Their technology was centuries beyond human capability. When she felt strong enough, Lyra took Alex outside to see the stars. She pointed to a faint blue dot, barely visible in the night sky. "That is my home world." Azuria, 3rd planet in the Cygnus system. Alex was amazed to learn that Lyra's people had been watching Earth for centuries, studying humans from afar but never making contact. "We have strict rules about interfering with developing species," Lyra explained. "But now that circumstances have forced this meeting, perhaps it is time for that to change." Each day as Lyra recovered, she shared more about her world. Alex learned of crystal cities that floated among the clouds of magnificent creatures that roamed the plains of Azuria, and of technology that seemed like magic to human understanding. Lyra was especially interested in human emotions. "The way you feel things so intensely," she communicated with wonder. "Your joy, your sorrow, your anger, all burn so brightly. We Azurians are more tempered in our emotional responses." As the days passed, Alex found herself drawn to the alien princess not just from curiosity, but from a growing fondness. She enjoyed their conversations under the stars, teaching Lyra about human customs while learning about life beyond Earth. One evening, as they sat by a fire, Lyra suddenly stiffened, her large eyes widening. "They are coming," she communicated, her mental voice tinged with fear. "Who is coming?" Alex asked, alarmed by the sudden change. "Those who tried to kill me," Lyra explained. "The Royal Guard detected my distress signal and are coming to rescue me. But so are my enemies. We must prepare." Alex helped Lyra strengthen the telepathic signal to guide her people to the exact location. They gathered the remaining pieces of the crashed ship that might be useful and prepared for what might come. That night, as they waited, Alex asked the question that had been on her mind. "Why were they trying to kill you?" Lyra was silent for a long moment before responding. "My people are divided," she explained. "Some believe we should remain isolated, continuing our observation of other species without interference. Others, like myself, believe we should share our knowledge, help developing civilizations like yours, avoid the mistakes we made. I am the heir to the throne, and my views threaten those who profit from our current policies." Alex understood politics, regardless of the planet, always seemed to work the same way. The powerful protecting their interests at the expense of progress. Dawn approached. Lyra suddenly stood alert. "Something approaches," she warned. They stepped outside the cabin and looked up. The sky was clear, but Lyra pointed to a spot where nothing seemed visible. To Alex's amazement, the air shimmered and a small craft appeared as if materializing from nothing. Its sleek metallic surface reflected the morning light. 3 tall figures emerged from the craft, their blue skin matching Lyra's but their expressions severe. They wore uniforms that seemed to shift, colors with each movement. They approached and knelt before Lyra, speaking in their musical language. "They have come to take me home," Lyra explained to Alex. "The enemies were intercepted, but more may be coming. They say I must leave immediately." Alex felt a sudden emptiness at the thought of Lyra leaving her quiet life, which had seemed peaceful before, now felt lonely and purposeless at the prospect of returning to it. Lyra seemed to sense Alex's thoughts. She turned to the guards and spoke rapidly. They looked at Alex with surprise, then bowed slightly. "What did you tell them?" Alex asked. "I told them you saved my life and that I owe you a debt of honor." Lyra explained, "I have asked them to prepare for an additional passenger if you wish to come with me." Alex looked at her cabin, the simple life she had built after leaving the military. There was nothing truly holding her here. No family, no close friends, nothing that could compare to the opportunity before her. "Will I be able to return?" she asked. Lyra nodded. "Of course. But I would be honored if you would visit my world, see the wonders I have described, learn about us as I have learned about you." Alex needed only a moment to decide. "Yes," she said, "I will come with you." The guards prepared the ship while Alex gathered a few belongings, photos of her parents, her military tags, a book of poetry. She treasured small reminders of Earth to take to the stars as they boarded the craft. Lyra took Alex's hand. "This is only the beginning," she promised. Her large eyes seemed to hold the light of distant stars as the ship's door closed behind them. The journey to Lyra's ship took mere minutes, a trip that would have taken human spacecraft hours. The small transport vessel docked with a much larger craft hiding behind Earth's moon. Alex gasped when she saw the mothership through the viewport. It was massive, at least a mile long, with a design that reminded her of sea creatures, elegant and flowing, rather than the utilitarian ships humans built. When they boarded the larger vessel, Alex felt overwhelmed. The corridors were wide with high ceilings bathed in a soft blue light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Azurians moved with graceful efficiency, nodding respectfully to Lyra as they passed. "The gravity feels different," Alex noted as they walked. Lyra explained through their mental connection. "We adjust it slightly lighter than your Earth. It is closer to our home conditions. You will adapt quickly." They arrived at what Lyra described as guest quarters, though to Alex, it looked more luxurious than any hotel she had ever seen. The room changed colors, subtly responding to her emotions. A large window showed the stars and Earth hanging beautiful and blue in the darkness of space. "Rest now," Lyra communicated. "We will reach the jump point in several hours. Then our journey to Azuria begins in earnest." After Lyra left, Alex explored her quarters, discovering clothing that adjusted to fit her perfectly, and food that appeared in a small alcove when she thought of being hungry. Everything responded to her thoughts, a technology so advanced it seemed impossible. When Lyra returned, she brought several other Azurians with her. They regarded Alex with open curiosity. Their mental voices brushed against her consciousness, lighter than Lyra's touch, asking permission, rather than pushing through. "These are my advisors," Lyra explained. "They wish to learn about you as the first human to officially visit our world." For hours they questioned Alex about Earth, its nations, its conflicts, its achievements. They seemed particularly interested in human art, music, and literature concepts that transcended species. They explained. One advisor, a female named Kira, seemed especially interested in human medicine. "Your methods are primitive but ingenious," she communicated. "When resources are limited, creativity flourishes." When the advisors left, Lyra took Alex to the ship's observation deck. The stars looked different without Earth's atmosphere filtering their light. "We are approaching the jump point," Lyra explained. "Soon, you will see something few humans have ever witnessed." The ship hummed with energy as officers prepared for what Lyra called the fold, a method of travel that bent space, allowing them to cross vast distances instantly. "Hold on to me," Lyra instructed as the stars outside began to blur. The first fold can be disorienting. Alex felt Lyra's arm around her waist, steadying her as the universe outside seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously. Colors she had never seen before flashed across the viewport. A sensation, a falling while standing still, made her stomach lurch. Then suddenly everything stabilized. The stars looked different, the patterns unfamiliar to Alex. They had arrived in another part of the galaxy. That took us across 500 light years. Lyra explained, pride evident in her mental voice. We will make 3 more folds before reaching Azuria. During the journey, Lyra showed Alex more of the ship, introducing her to the crew and explaining their technology. Alex was fascinated by their medical bay, where injuries healed in minutes, by their agricultural section, where plants from 100 worlds grew in harmony, and by their library, which contained not books, but crystal spheres that shared knowledge directly with the mind. With each passing day, Alex grew more comfortable among the Azurians. They were a serious people, not given to displays of emotion, but kind and patient with her questions. Their society valued knowledge, art, and harmony above all else. There are no wars among our kind, Lyra explained. Not anymore. We learned the futility of conflict millennia ago. Now we channel our competitive instincts into scientific discovery and artistic expression. Alex learned that Azurian society was indeed largely female, dominated though not completely. Males served primarily as caregivers, artists, and diplomats, while females led government, science, and defense. The distinction mattered less to them than to humans, Lyra explained, as their biology allowed for more fluid gender expression throughout their lives. On the final day of their journey, Lyra came to Alex's quarters with excitement vibrating through her mental voice. We are approaching Azuria, she communicated. Come see my home. The observation deck was crowded with crew members, all eager to see their homeworld after months in space. When the final fold completed, Alex saw it for the first time. Azuria hung in space, a jewel of deep blue and violet. The planet was larger than Earth, with 2 small moons orbiting close to its surface. Vast cities glittered even from space, connected by networks of light that spanned continents. As they entered orbit, Alex could see the details of these cities. Crystal spires rose into the clouds, while smaller structures spread in circular patterns around them. Everything seemed to flow together as if the entire city was one massive organism. Tomorrow we descend, Lyra told her. You will be the first human to set foot on Azurian soil, an historic moment. That night, unable to sleep, Alex stood at the window of her quarters, watching Azuria rotate slowly below. She felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. What would this new world hold for her? How would its people react to a human in their midst? The door chimed softly, and Lyra entered. Are you nervous? She asked, her mental voice gentle. A little, Alex admitted. This is farther from home than any human has ever been. Lyra moved beside her, their shoulders almost touching. You have shown remarkable courage, she commented. Most beings would be overwhelmed by such changes. Alex smiled. I was a combat medic, she explained. I learned to adapt quickly. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the planet below. Lyra's presence was reassuring, somehow familiar, despite her alien nature. Have something to tell you, Lyra finally communicated. My return is not merely a homecoming, it is political. My supporters have gained influence in my absence. I am to be crowned sovereign in 3 days. Alex turned to her in surprise. You never mentioned you would be the ruler. It was not certain until now, Lyra explained. There were other contenders. My absence complicated matters, but it seems my faction has prevailed. And what happens to me? Alex asked. You will be honored as my guest, Lyra assured her. The human who saved the sovereign, a bridge between our worlds. As they stood watching the planet together, Alex felt Lyra's hand find hers. Their fingers intertwined, human and alien. Yet the connection felt natural, somehow significant. Beyond the viewport, Azuria shimmered with promise, the next chapter of Alex's extraordinary journey about to begin. The descent to Azuria was smooth and silent. The transport vessel glided through layers of violet clouds until the landscape came into view. Below them sprawled the capital city, Elysium, a breathtaking metropolis of crystalline towers and flowing architecture. When they landed on a platform high above the city, crowds of Azurians had gathered. Their mental voices created a background hum of excitement and curiosity that Alex could feel even without direct contact. Lyra emerged first, greeted by officials in elaborate ceremonial garments. Alex followed a step behind, suddenly conscious of how alien she must appear to them, her pale skin and dark hair marking her immediately as different from the blue-skinned Azurians. A hush fell over the crowd as they noticed her. Some moved closer, their large eyes wide with fascination. Alex felt hundreds of minds gently touching hers like feathers against her consciousness. Lyra addressed the crowd, her mental voice projected so all could hear. "This is Alex Mason of Earth," she announced. "She saved my life when my ship crashed on her world. Without her, I would not stand before you today. She is our honored guest, the first of her kind to walk among us." The crowd's response was immediate. A wave of welcome and gratitude washed over Alex, so powerful it brought tears to her eyes. The Azurians might be reserved in physical expression, but their mental communication carried emotions with startling intensity. They were escorted to a floating platform that carried them through the city toward the central palace. Alex marveled at everything she saw. The building seemed alive, somehow shifting subtly to accommodate the needs of their inhabitants. The pathways between structures flowed, like liquid crystal, reforming as people walked upon them. Citizens lined these paths, watching their princess return with the strange alien beside her. Children particularly seemed fascinated by Alex, pointing and sending curious mental questions that Lyra gently deflected. "She will meet many of you in time," Lyra promised. "But today we must prepare for the coronation." The palace was a wonder of engineering, a massive structure that appeared to be made of light itself, captured and solidified into elegant forms. The central spire rose so high it disappeared into the clouds. Inside, Alex was given her own suite of rooms with attendants assigned to help her adjust to Azurian life. They provided clothing in the local style modified to suit her human form, and taught her about local customs, food, and protocol. One attendant named Mira was especially helpful, explaining the intricacies of court life. She was younger than most Azurians. Alex had met her skin a paler blue, her movements more energetic. "Our society values harmony above all," she explained to Alex. "But the court is still a place of subtle power struggles. You must be careful who you trust." That evening there was a formal reception to welcome Lyra home. Alex was dressed in flowing garments of a material that seemed to capture and reflect light. With Lyra's guidance, she was learning to control her mental projections to communicate more effectively with the Azurians, though her abilities were limited compared to theirs. The cow reception was held in a vast hall where the ceiling appeared to be open to the sky, though Alex could not tell if it was an illusion or actual open space. Hundreds of Azurian nobles gathered, their clothing and jewelry indicating their rank and faction. Lyra introduced Alex to countless officials, each curious about the human, though some regarded her with what seemed like suspicion. One in particular, a tall female named Vela, watched Alex with cold calculation. "Be wary of Elder Vela," Lyra warned. "Privately, she leads those who oppose contact with other species." The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparations. Alex was fitted for ceremonial garments, instructed in the coronation protocol, and given tours of parts of the city. Though treated with respect, she noticed she was never left alone, always accompanied by attendants or guards. On the night before the coronation, Lyra visited Alex's chambers looking troubled. "What's wrong?" Alex asked. Sensing the princess's unease, Lyra paced the room, her usual grace giving way to agitation. "There are complications," she admitted. "Those who oppose me are making final efforts to prevent my ascension. They argue that my time on Earth has contaminated me with foreign ideas, that my desire for open contact with humans will threaten our way of life." "Can they stop the coronation?" Alex asked. No, Lyra shook her head. "The succession is secure, but they may try to influence my rule in other ways." She looked at Alex directly. "Through you." Alex felt a chill. "What do you mean? You are a symbol." Lyra explained of my new policy of openness, how you are received, How you behave will affect how my people view humans, and by extension my judgment in bringing you here. That night, Alex slept poorly. Dreams of floating cities and alien minds touching hers gave way to darker visions of suspicion and isolation. She woke early watching the strange light of Azuria's sun filter through the crystalline walls of her room. The day of the coronation arrived with pageantry, unlike anything Alex had ever witnessed. The ceremony took place in a massive amphitheater cut into the side of a mountain overlooking the city. Thousands of Azurians gathered to witness the event, their collective mental presence a tangible force. Alex was given a place of honor near the front, though separated from Lyra. She watched as the princess entered wearing garments that seemed woven from light itself. The crowd's mental voice rose in a harmonious greeting that resonated in Alex's mind, like music. The ceremony was conducted in the Azurian language, but Alex understood the meaning through images and emotions projected by the officiants. Lyra knelt before the former sovereign, an ancient Azurian whose skin had faded to nearly white. With age, the elder placed a circlet of living crystal upon Lyra's head. The crystal responded to her touch, glowing brightly, and sending tendrils down to touch her temples. The crowd erupted in mental celebration as Lyra rose now, sovereign of the Azurian Empire. Her eyes found Alex in the crowd, a moment of connection amid the chaos. The celebration continued through the day and into the night. Alex was kept busy meeting officials and nobles from across the empire. Many were curious about Earth, and humans asking questions about culture, technology, and biology. Alex answered as best she could, aware that she had become an unofficial ambassador for her entire species as the night progressed. Alex noticed something strange. The guards around her had increased in number, and the friendly attendants had been replaced by more serious officials. She was subtly being separated from the main celebration, guided toward a different section of the palace, Mira. Her young attendant appeared briefly. At her side, something is wrong, she communicated hurriedly. They are not taking you to the guest wing before Alex could respond. Mira was gone, and the officials were leading her down a long corridor away from the sounds of celebration. The corridor sloped downward, leading deeper into the mountain beneath the palace. They arrived at a door that opened to reveal a chamber spacious and comfortable but clearly isolated. The officials gestured for her to enter. "What is this?" Alex demanded. "Where is Lyra? Sovereign Lyra has ordered your accommodation changed for security purposes." One official explained, his mental voice formal and distant. The door closed behind her before she could protest further. Alex examined the room, finding it was indeed luxurious, but the door had no internal controls. The window showed a view of the city, but when she touched it, she realized it was a projection, not an actual window. She was a prisoner. Days passed in isolated luxury. Alex was provided with everything she might need for comfort: food that adjusted to her tastes, entertainment that responded to her thoughts, books that translated themselves into English, but no freedom and no contact. With Lyra, attendants came and went, silent and efficient, ignoring her questions about why she was being held. When she demanded to see Lyra, they simply responded that the sovereign was occupied with matters of state. After a week, the door finally opened to admit Lyra herself. She had changed since the coronation. Her bearing more regal, her expression carefully controlled. The warm connection Alex had felt with her seemed dimmed, somehow distant. "Why am I being held here?" Alex demanded, her anger overshadowing the relief of seeing Lyra again. Lyra gestured and the attendants left them alone. "This is not how I wanted things to proceed," she communicated, her mental voice measured. "I had hoped to ease you into understanding." "Understanding what, Alex?" asked Lyra, moved to the window, watching the projected view of the city. "You must realize how valuable you are to us," she explained. "The first human to visit our world. A specimen of immense scientific interest." "Specimen." Alex repeated the word like a slap. "Is that all I am to you?" "A laboratory animal." Lyra turned her large eyes unreadable. "No, not merely that. You are a bridge between our worlds, a key to understanding humanity. But my scientists require extensive study. They need to understand human biology, psychology, social structures. Our Security Council insists on thorough assessment before wider contact is permitted. So I'm a prisoner. Alex stated flatly. A guest with limited access. Lyra corrected. The study will not harm you. Your comfort is a priority. Alex felt betrayal burning inside her. You brought me here under false pretenses, she accused. I trusted you. Lyra's expression softened slightly. I did not lie about valuing what you did for me, she insisted. But I am sovereign now. My first duty is to my people, their security, their advancement. The knowledge we gain from you will benefit both our species in time. How long will this study take? Alex asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Several of your Earth years, Lyra answered. Years, Alex, echoed shocked. Lyra stepped closer. I know this is difficult, she admitted, but I hoped perhaps in time you would see the importance of your role here, the contribution you are making. Alex turned away, unable to look at Lyra. You should have been honest. She said you should have given me a choice. Would you have come if I had told you? Lyra asked. Alex had no answer. Lyra moved toward the door. I will visit when I can, she promised. Your treatment will be humane. I give you my word. After Lyra left, Alex sank onto the bed, her mind reeling with shock and betrayal. She had left everything behind for this, a comfortable prison, on an alien world where she would be studied like an interesting insect. The next weeks fell into a pattern. Scientists would come to examine her, taking samples of blood and tissue, scanning her brain as she performed various tasks, testing her strength, endurance, and sensory capabilities. They were not cruel, but their clinical detachment made her feel less than a person. Between these sessions, Alex was left alone with only the silent attendants for company. She tried to map her surroundings, looking for weaknesses, but found none. The technology was too advanced. The security too thorough. Lyra visited occasionally, but their conversations grew increasingly strained. Alex's sense of betrayal and Lyra's divided loyalties, creating a gulf between them. Yet sometimes Alex caught glimpses of the Lyra she had known on Earth, moments of genuine concern or connection, quickly hidden behind the mask of sovereignty. One day, a new scientist arrived, younger than the others. Her name was Kira, the same advisor who had been interested in human medicine during the journey to Azuria. Unlike the others, she spoke to Alex as a person, not a specimen, asking about Earth with genuine curiosity. You are unhappy here, Kira observed during one session. I'm a prisoner, Alex replied bitterly. Of course I'm unhappy. Kira's mental touch was gentler than the others. There are those among us who disagree with your treatment, she admitted carefully. Those who believe we should engage with humans as equals, not subjects. Alex looked up surprised. Is Lyra among them? Kira hesitated. The sovereign's position is complex, she answered diplomatically. She must balance many interests. The conservative faction is powerful. They fear outside influence, but yes, I believe she struggles with your situation. Kira began visiting more frequently, bringing news of the outside world of political developments. Within the Empire, Alex learned that Lyra's rule was not as secure as it had appeared. The faction opposing contact with other species had grown stronger, using Alex's presence to stoke fears of contamination from primitive cultures. During one visit, Kira brought a small crystal device, slipping it to Alex surreptitiously. This will allow you to move more freely, she explained. It interferes with the security systems, but use it sparingly and wisely. Alex hid the device, waiting for the right moment to use it. She began to pay more attention to the routines of the guards, the timing of security scans, planning carefully for an opportunity. That opportunity came sooner than expected. 3 months into her captivity, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The lights flickered and dimmed. The attendants rushed out, locking the door behind them. Alex activated Kira's device. The door control panel glowed briefly, then the door slid open. She stepped into the corridor, finding it empty. Everyone had responded to whatever emergency had triggered the alarms. Using the device to open additional doors, Alex made her way upward through the facility, eventually emerging into a wider corridor that seemed part of the main palace. Here chaos reigned. Azurians rushed in all directions, some in military uniforms, others in civilian attire. The mental atmosphere was charged with fear and urgency. Alex pressed herself against a wall trying to avoid notice, when a hand grabbed her arm. She turned to find Mira, her former attendant. "You must come quickly." Mira communicated urgently. "We have little time." "What's happening?" Alex asked as Mira pulled her down a side passage. "The rebellion has begun." Mira explained. "The outer colonies have declared independence. They've launched attacks on key installations, including the palace sovereignty. Lyra is being evacuated. Rebellion." Alex repeated, surprised. The Azurians had seemed so unified. "Our harmony is enforced." Mira revealed bitterly. "Those who disagree are silenced or exiled." But no longer. The colonies have developed their own technology, their own society. They reject the rule of Elysium. They reached a small transport bay where several Azurians waited. Their clothing was simpler than the elaborate garments of the court officials. Their expressions grim, but determined. "These are my associates," Mira explained. "We fight for a different future, one where all beings are treated with respect, not studied like specimens. We can get you off this planet if you wish." Before Alex could respond, the doors at the far end of the bay burst open. Guards poured in, weapons drawn. Behind them came Lyra, her royal garments replaced by armor, her expression fierce. "Traitors." Lyra accused, her mental voice thundering through the chamber. "You would steal what belongs to the Empire. We steal nothing." One rebel countered. "We free a prisoner. You would understand if you were not blinded by power." Weapons were raised on both sides. The air crackled with tension. "Wait!" Alex shouted, stepping forward, surprising everyone. "No one needs to die here." She turned to Lyra. "What kind of ruler do you want to be?" she asked. "The kind who imprisons those who helped you? The kind who treats other species as specimens? Or the kind who builds bridges between worlds as equals?" Something flickered in Lyra's expression, a moment of the connection they once shared. The attack intensified, the building shaking with distant explosions. They had no more time for debate. "Come with us," Mira urged. "We must leave." Now Alex looked at Lyra one last time, then made her decision. Alex made her choice, stepping toward Lyra rather than the rebels. The Sovereign's eyes widened in surprise. "If I stay, what changes?" Alex asked, her voice firm. Lyra hesitated, then dismissed her guards with a gesture. When they were alone with the rebels, she spoke. "This attack changes everything," she admitted. "The Empire is fracturing. I cannot fight a war on multiple fronts." One of the rebels stepped forward. Kira, her scientific disguise abandoned. "We don't want war," she said. "We want reform. Equal rights. For all species, open exchange of knowledge and culture, not exploitation." More explosions rocked the building. Debris fell from the ceiling. "There's no time to negotiate," Mira urged. "We must leave." "Now?" Lyra looked at Alex, then at the rebels. "I will come with you," she decided suddenly. The rebels exchanged shocked glances. "The Sovereign with us?" one questioned suspiciously. As a gesture of good faith, Lyra explained. "And because I believe Alex is right, some paths cannot be walked alone." They boarded a small transport vessel, sleeker and faster than the official ships Alex had seen. The rebels worked with practiced efficiency, preparing for launch as the palace defenses activated around them. "We have minutes at most," Kira warned, piloting the craft toward a maintenance tunnel that led outside the palace shields. As they accelerated through the narrow passage, Alex sat beside Lyra. "You surprised me," she admitted. "Perhaps I surprised myself," Lyra replied. Her mental voice subdued. "For 3 months, I have ruled as I was taught, putting the Empire first. But at what cost? I brought you here offering friendship, then betrayed that trust." The ship burst from the tunnel into open sky, accelerating hard toward space. Behind them, defense platforms began firing, energy weapons slicing through the air around them. Kira was an exceptional pilot, evading the attacks with sharp turns and dives that tested the ship's structural integrity. They broke through the upper atmosphere, pursued by larger military vessels. "Full drive is charging," Mira announced. "We need 2 more minutes." They might not have 2 minutes. The pursuing ships were gaining weapons, lock alarms blaring through their small craft. Lyra moved to the communication console. "This is Sovereign Lyra," she transmitted to the pursuing fleet. "Stand down. I am not under duress, I go willingly." The military vessels hesitated their pursuit, slowing slightly. "They won't believe you," one rebel said. "They'll think you're under duress." "Then I abdicate," Lyra announced, shocking everyone. Her voice carried through the fleet communication channels. "I renounce my position as sovereign, effective immediately. The succession protocols will determine the next ruler." The pursuing ships fell back, confused by this unprecedented development. "Fold drive ready," Kira announced. "Activate," Mira ordered. The universe stretched around them, stars blurring into streaks of light. Then they were in deep space, far from Azuria. "What have you done?" Alex asked Lyra as the rebels celebrated their escape. "What I should have done from the beginning," Lyra answered, "followed my conscience rather than tradition. I am no longer sovereign, but perhaps I can be something more valuable. A reformer. A bridge builder." The rebel ship traveled to a hidden base, on a small moon orbiting a gas giant far from Azurian central control. Here Alex discovered an entire society of dissidents from across the Empire working together with representatives of other species. Some she recognized from Lyra's court, including Phala the Elder, who had seemed so hostile. "She was your agent all along." Alex realized one must keep appearances. Phala explained with a small mental smile. "The court believes I oppose all contact with aliens. In truth, I oppose only exploitation." In the days that followed, Alex learned the full truth. The rebellion had been brewing for decades. As the Empire expanded, encountering more species, the policy of study and control had created resentment and resistance. Lyra had been secretly sympathetic, using her position to protect reformers while maintaining her cover as a traditional ruler. "I chose you specifically," Lyra admitted when they were alone. She had traded her royal garments for the simpler clothing of the rebellion, looking younger, somehow more like the injured alien Alex had first rescued. "I knew you had no close connections on Earth, that you might be willing to leave. I knew your military background would make you adaptable, resilient, and I sensed something in you, a kindness, a willingness to help even those different from yourself. You still imprisoned me," Alex pointed out. "That was not my intention." Lyra sighed. "The conservative faction seized control of the Security Council after my coronation. They insisted on the study protocols I had planned to gradually introduce you to our society as an equal. But I underestimated their fear of change." "Can you forgive me?" she asked, her mental voice vulnerable in a way Alex had never felt before. Alex considered the question. Forgiveness would take time, but understanding had already begun. The universe was more complex than she had imagined. Politics and power played out the same among the stars as on Earth. "I'm beginning to," she answered honestly. In the following weeks, Alex became an integral part of the rebellion, her unique perspective as a human proving valuable. Her medical training was especially useful as she worked alongside alien healers, combining techniques from different worlds. Lyra worked tirelessly, using her knowledge of imperial politics to predict and counter the new sovereign's moves. The abdication had thrown the central government into chaos, providing time for the rebellion to strengthen its position. News arrived that other species had joined the cause. Inspired by the former sovereign's defection, a coalition was forming not to destroy the Azurian Empire, but to transform it. One evening, Alex found Lyra alone on an observation platform watching the gas giant rise over the moon's horizon. Its swirling clouds reminded Alex of Jupiter, though the colors were different, more purple than orange. "Do you regret it?" Alex asked, joining her at the railing. "Giving up your throne?" Lyra considered the question. "I regret the years wasted upholding a system I knew was flawed," she answered. "But this," she gestured to the base below where aliens of a dozen species worked together. "This is worth more than a throne." They stood in comfortable silence watching the massive planet fill the sky. "I want to show you something," Lyra said finally. She led Alex to a small laboratory where several scientists worked at crystal consoles. In the center stood a device Alex had never seen before. "What is it?" she asked a translator. Lyra explained, more advanced than the mental connection. We share. It will allow humans and Azurians to communicate without physical contact. A first step toward equal exchange between our worlds. The rebellion plans to send an official delegation to Earth. Lyra continued. With your help, we won't arrive in a massive warship or make demands. We'll come openly requesting diplomatic relations, sharing knowledge freely. Alex was stunned. It was everything she had hoped for when first agreeing to accompany Lyra to the stars. Not exploitation, but cooperation will. You lead the delegation? Alex asked. Lyra shook her head. My presence would complicate matters. The new government considers me a traitor. But you. She touched Alex's hand gently. You could return home as an ambassador of sorts, helping prepare your people. For first contact, it was a compelling vision, a chance to make history to help shape humanity's future among the stars. Yet Alex hesitated. The thought of leaving Lyra after all they had experienced together created an unexpected ache. I would miss you, she admitted, surprising herself with the honesty. Lyra's fingers intertwined with hers. I would accompany you unofficially, she suggested. Her large eyes held a question unspoken but clear. Alex smiled, understanding the invitation. In the midst of rebellion and galactic politics, something personal had grown between them. Something neither had anticipated, but both now cherished. Together then, Alex agreed, as they stood hand in hand, alien and human. The gas giant cast its light across the observation platform. The future spread before them, uncertain but full of possibility. A bridge between worlds being built not through study and control, but through understanding, connection, and choice. This was only the beginning.